Somebody try to show you how to feel, not get sucked into the void. You couldn't even see the water from your view, and it's a word that you enjoyed. Alright, hello there, thrill seekers. That was a snippet of a song called Some People Try to F With You. It's by the Teenage Fan Club, and I like that song a lot. So that's the song, and it has nothing to do with today's video, or I don't know, maybe you could relate it somewhat tangentially, I don't know. But no, I don't think there's anybody trying to F with you in this. Well, let's get on to the topic and we'll see. So I want to do a quick video about a topic that I feel I've done kind of to death. I feel like I didn't go back and check, but I feel like it must be even fairly recently that I've done this particular topic. However, the reason I wanted to do another video on the same subject that I've done multiple times is because now I've got the receipts. And also because somebody tweeted this at me, and so maybe they don't know that maybe people don't know that I've done this topic many times. Hold on, I'm looking for it. Okay. Somebody tweeted the following thing out to me. It's a tweet from somebody named Liam. Always entertained by the shock of some Western Buddhists when they encounter what Buddhism is in practice to the great majority of its adherents. And here is the piece, and actually it cuts off before it ends. I didn't bother to go looking for the end of it because, well, it'll probably become clear by the time I finish this video. This is Traveling in Himalaya and I'm a Little Disappointed with Buddhism is the name of the post. And it goes like this. Short background. Years ago I discovered psychedelics, yoga, and finally I found great truths in Buddhism. So, like most of you, probably, in parentheses, I started a meditation practice, started to read, and emerged deeper into the topics of consciousness, self, enlightenment, and all. Nice. Okay. I always believed that the Western civilization is one step behind cultures that are already practicing and are born into it. Spending time on Reddit communities, oh, don't do that. Watching YouTube videos, and reading modern books surely can provide a knowledge deeper than the motherland of Buddhism, right? Well, yeah, I don't know if he's saying he's getting that the YouTube videos and Reddit communities and books are deeper than the motherland of Buddhism. Well, let's just continue. After visiting over 20 temples and monasteries and talking to people, monks, teachers, even a head lama, I was surprised that people here practice Buddhism religion just like Christians go to church. They pray, kneel, chant, light candles, even praying to the body of a recently deceased Rinpoche. That's a Tibetan, I don't know exactly what Rinpoche means. It's like a Tibetan, I think it's the Tibetan version of a Roshi, but then maybe some of you can correct me on that, a Tibetan Buddhist teacher. I found little to no difference between Buddhism and, for example, the Orthodox Church. Same template, different colors and architectures. I started conversations with them about the truth of no self and other topics. I received answers like, oh, I'm still confused myself, or didn't know the Wheel of Mara entirely. Wheel of Mara? I don't know that one. Or I don't actually know how karma, and then it cuts off, but maybe they mean they don't know how karma works. Now, the person who tweeted this at me, the Sentient Dog Group, interesting name, says, I tend to agree, but is the reshaping of Buddhism for Western audiences a bad thing or just part of its evolution, or evolution, since this person spells things in the British way, through time? At Brad Warner. So he atted me. Don't at me, right? That's what the kids say. But you can at me if you want. So this is interesting because it's that topic of Buddhist modernism as opposed to real Buddhism. And I've often said that there's this kind of trope on the internet which is fairly common, which is the person who studied Buddhism in some Western country, Europe or America, maybe Australia, South America, somewhere like that, and then goes to Asia and then finds out what Buddhism really is, and then comes back and tells us, Buddhism is just like church, they pray to God, and they superstitious, and they're just like a bunch of churchgoers, and it's no good, and everything you've been told about Buddhism in America and Europe is a lie. This kind of thing. Of course, I'm exaggerating, and if you read that text that I just read you, it's not quite that bad, but that's the kind of way it goes. And so there's a lot of people sort of receiving this and going, yeah, and they haven't even been to an Asian country, and they go, well, yeah, Buddhism is completely different. What they teach you in the West isn't real Buddhism. Real Buddhism is people going to church and worshiping the dead and being superstitious and having magic talismans and there's all kinds of things. So here's the deal. There are, I would guess, I've never found anybody who has surveyed this and figured it out, but I would guess there are more forms of Buddhism than there are forms of Christianity. Because Buddhism has been around 500 years longer than Christianity and had a lot more time, 500 more years, to develop schisms and offshoots and whatnot. So one of the commenters who commented on this tweet said that Buddhism is probably a wider umbrella than Christianity, and I think that's a good way to think of it. It's a really big thing. So I saw some comedian recently who, I wish I had a clip of him, but I can't even remember who he was, but he said something like, oh yeah, we Christians have got it wrong because we've got like 72 varieties of Christianity, but you go to Buddhism and there's just Buddhism. And the audience laughed and stuff as if they agreed with him, but that's not true. There's not just one form of Buddhism. There's hundreds, thousands of forms of Buddhism out there, and there's all different kinds. And just like Christianity has, sort of more sort of orthodox things like the Catholic Church, or the Presbyterians or something like that. I don't know, and then kind of wild offshoots like Mormonism or the Seventh-day Adventists, some other things like that, Jonestown, I don't know. I'm not trying to group all those three together, but what I mean is that there's a lot of forms of Christianity that are way off from what we normally think of as Christianity. Another analogy that somebody made in one of the comments is, imagine a Chinese person who studied Gnosticism, deeply and understood it, and then came to America and then was like, oh my God, that's not what they teach in America. And that's actually a fairly good analogy, because Gnosticism is as old as any other form of Christianity and has as much of a claim to be foundational or the original form of Christianity as the Baptists or the Presbyterians or the whoever, the Assembly of God or whoever claims to be Christian around here. And yet it's wildly different from what you would find the real Christianity if this hypothesized Chinese person came over and looked at it. So the point I'm trying to make, which I'm not getting around to very well, is that we in the West have received, a lot of us have received this form of Buddhism that's very rational, that is logical, that gets rid of, I was going to say eschews, but I don't know how to pronounce that word, that gets rid of superstition and stuff. And then you go to Asia, like I did, I went to Japan, and you find forms of Buddhism that are nothing like what you learned about. But the forms of Buddhism that we've received in the West are every bit as legitimate as what's going on over there. So, the Dogen, for example, lived his entire life probably not knowing that Europe even existed. He might have heard vague rumors of Europe, but he wouldn't have known anything about its culture or what they were doing over there. He certainly had no idea of America, which had yet to be discovered by the Europeans, and the American culture that's since developed. Yet his Buddhism is very logical, very rational, very non-superstitious. It's not exactly like Western philosophy, but it's compatible with sort of the modern understanding or the contemporary understanding of the world, I would say. Even though it's got some elements which are maybe contradictory to what some people think he's chasing a bird, that are contradictory to what some people would think are true or whatever. We can leave that aside, but it's very rational and non-superstitious, and it's not this crazy boogeyman sort of thing that you might find, and it's not the equivalent of going to church and singing hymns to Jesus or worshiping the dead or any of that. So, and it's legit, and it comes from a tradition that, well, the people who adhere to it claim goes right back to the Buddha 2,500 years ago, and I think you can find plenty of evidence to support that. So it's not that we're getting the non-real Buddhism. I would, however, say that it is true that Japanese Buddhists in particular were very keen in the early part of the 20th century, and certainly after World War II, to try to present a Buddhism that was compatible with Western thought. And people like D.T. Suzuki tended to do that, to downplay anything that seemed supernatural and, upplay, is that a word? The sort of aspects of it that might be compatible with a scientific based world outlook. So that does exist, but I don't think it means that the Buddhism we got in America, that I got in America from my first Zen teacher, for example, was a fake or was tailored to Western audiences. Those early books, I would say, by D.T. Suzuki and a few others were almost definitely tailored to Western audiences. But that doesn't mean that the stream of Buddhism that's rational, logical, and non-superstitious is like some weirdo westernization. It's actually it's actually a legitimate way that Buddhism is and has been for thousands of years if you look at that particular stream of Buddhism. And like I said, there's lots of offshoots from that stream, and we could argue endlessly as to whether, for example, Zen is a direct offshoot of original Buddhism, as Zen claims it is, or is some new thing. But even if it's a new thing, it has much more influence from the original Buddhism and from all that thought and philosophy that went into that than it does from the West. Western philosophy and Western ways of thinking have entered into Buddhism very, very recently, and I don't think they constitute a major shift in how Buddhism really is. So there you go. You got the real Buddhism. You wanted the real Buddhism. You got the real Buddhism. The hottest Buddhism in the land, Brad. I just thought of that. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to go back and keep trying to write a book. And if you want to donate to me writing a book, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. And I would like to say a big thank you to the folks in Bozeman, Montana, who hosted me this past weekend. It was a lovely time, was had by me and all in the Bozeman Hot Springs and at the Zen retreat that I led out there in the wilds of Montana. So that was fun. So thanks for having me. I enjoyed being had. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey Ziggy, are you enjoying the sunshine? Are you enjoying the sunshine? Are you having fun out here? Yeah, you were chasing squirrels earlier and birds. Have you seen any cats? Do you want to go look for cats? Yeah, let's go look for cats. Somebody try to show you how to feel, not get sucked into the void. You couldn't even see the water from your view, and it's a word that you enjoyed. Some people try to fuck with you, some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you, some people try their luck with you. I had a smile for everyone, though I was dead behind the grin. It got me in the kind of mood that I like being in. Never gonna sleep around again, 'cause I I got you by my side. I'm the kind of man you've been dreaming of in the California countryside. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. Some people try to fuck with you. Some people try their luck with you. You didn't like that, Ziggy?